High upon Mount Sinai, the air trembled with light. The mountain, clothed in cloud and thunder, became the meeting place between heaven and earth. Moses had climbed higher than any man had ever gone, leaving behind the noise of the camp and the murmuring of Israel. There, in a brightness that burned yet did not harm, an angel of the presence stood before him. "Write," the angel said, his voice like many waters, "all that I shall tell you, the history of the world as it is written on the heavenly tablets, for this story is not the memory of men but the record of God's will through the ages." Moses bowed, and the angel began the tale of beginnings. In the beginning the angel said, "The Lord ordered all things, heaven, earth, and all within them, in 6 days. Light and darkness were separated. The firmament stretched across the deep. Land rose from the waters, and green life covered it. Stars, sun, and moon were set as lights and signs, not for confusion, but for holy seasons, fixed upon a heavenly calendar. On the 6th day he made man, Adam, in his image, and when the 7th day dawned, God rested. He blessed the 7th day and made it holy forever. It was not given only to Israel, but sanctified for all creation, a memorial of his rest. Thus the Sabbath became the first law, a sign between heaven and earth. Then the angel told how God planted the garden in Eden, a place radiant with peace. Trees bore fruit of every kind, rivers shimmered through its midst, and from its heart rose the tree of life. There he placed Adam and his wife, Eve, formed from his own bone and flesh. They were naked, said the angel, and not ashamed, for innocence clothed them like light. But the serpent, cunning among beasts, whispered the seed of rebellion, "You shall be like God." They ate, and in that moment the light faded, shame fell upon them, and the harmony of creation broke. Angels wept, for sin had entered the world. The Lord, merciful yet just, clothed them and sent them eastward from the garden, to toil and to learn. Yet even in exile, he did not leave them without hope, for in his mercy he ordained the path of return through repentance and sacrifice. Adam and Eve bore sons, first Cain, then Abel. The two brought offerings before the Lord, Abel's from the first of his flock, pure and pleasing, Cain's from the fruit of the ground. When Cain's heart burned with envy, sin crouched at his door, and he slew his brother. The earth drank Abel's blood and cried out to heaven. The angel spoke with sorrow, thus began the corruption of the earth. From that blood came violence, and from violence came sorrow, yet even then the Lord watched, guiding the generations toward righteousness. From Seth's line came men who called upon the name of the Lord, who sought wisdom and holiness. But as generations multiplied, sin too spread like a shadow upon the earth. In time, when men had grown numerous, certain angels, the Watchers, looked upon the daughters of men and were drawn by their beauty. They descended to the earth against their appointed place, and took wives, teaching them the hidden arts of heaven, enchantments, weapon-making, sorcery, and vanity. From these unions were born mighty ones, giants of great strength and great wickedness. They devoured all that lived and turned against mankind. The earth cried out once more, groaning beneath the weight of blood and corruption. Then, said the angel, the Lord saw that every thought of man was evil continually. He resolved to cleanse the earth, but before judgment fell, he spoke again to his faithful servant Noah, whom he found righteous in his generation. The angel's voice lowered like distant thunder. Thus began the judgment of the waters. The heavenly tablets recorded it. The flood would come, not as wrath alone, but as renewal. Through destruction, creation would be reborn. And the angel looked upon Moses and said, "All these things were written long before you were born, not as tales of men, but as the record of divine order. For every age the Most High sets his times and seasons. As he cleansed the earth once by water, so he shall purify it again, not by bond, in your son, on Saburn, Alberthia son, not by flood, but by his covenant and his law." Moses bowed again, trembling before the majesty of what he had heard, for he saw that creation was not a forgotten past, but a living pattern. Sin, judgment, mercy, and the promise of rest, all flowing from the same eternal source. Now, let's pause for a moment and reflect. This is a time to consider the weight and wonder of what has been revealed. Thus ends the first portion of the heavenly revelation, the story of how creation began, how sin entered, and how divine justice was set in motion. In these opening jubilees, God reveals himself not only as creator but as the keeper of time, the lawgiver before the law, and the redeemer whose mercy endures even amid the ruin of his world.